friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop with another edition of Shop Talk. Got quite a few subjects and a lot of varied subjects for today's Shop Talk, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be entertaining. I've got a number of items to just kind of give you updates on, and I'll give you those updates right now. The first one is on the 12 string. You're noticing that it's, a lot of parts. Well, we're trying to provide the detail because people ask for more detail. They're trying to build instruments on their own, and therefore they want to know how to do it. And so we provide that. One thing I can tell you for black and white certainty, it takes much longer to do the videos than it does to actually do the work. I know some people think, oh, that's just something all the YouTubers say, but no, it's 100% true. You know by now, I don't just say things idly. I tell you the truth. And, if it takes me an hour to do a job, it'll take me 2 to 4 hours to do the video. And that's just a black and white fact. I just wanted you to understand that's part of the reason why the videos are spread out so much and we're not getting them, out as quick as you would like. The truth of the matter is the 12 string is still not completed yet. It's hanging over there. Can you see it? There it is, right there. It's still in the finish stage. Caleb has actually been doing the finish for me on this because I've got so many irons in the fire, I just can't get to it. So anyway, he's put a lot of coats on there. He put 6 or 7, or probably 5 or 6 coats on it. Then I sanded it once, and he's probably put 3 or 4 more coats on it since. And that whole grain filling issue is still there with this, and it's not filling real quick. It needs a lot more coats. I don't think he's put as many coats on it as I would have if I could have concentrated on it. I would have probably put 2 coats on a day, one in the early morning and one in the late afternoon. All that to say is it's still there. It's not getting finished at this point in time. So obviously you're not going to see a final video on that. Melissa and Caleb with their announcements that they will be leaving have been pulled in a lot of directions also, especially Melissa. She's getting ready to open her campground in the end of May. So she's been going to lots of meetings and, she's just running lots of errands. And, she's doing a lot of the work still. In other words, she gets the orders out in the mornings and she takes care of the basic financial paperwork and all that stuff that I would have to be doing otherwise. And she's doing all that kind of thing. But because of all of her other things, the videos are even taking longer to get out because she's not able to concentrate full time on the videos right now. So I just wanted you to understand that that's the reasoning behind everything that's going on. The reason I can't jump in and do all that stuff right now is because I am just overwhelmed. Everything I own is broke again. And, I've got to rebuild my Ford tractor, the head gaskets. As a matter of fact, I'm going to release a video very soon. You may see it before you see this on the Ford about converting it to electronic ignition, a Ford 4000 tractor. And once I did that, it still wasn't running right, and I realized it's missing on a couple of cylinders, actually, and I think there's a bad head gasket. I'm hoping that's the only problem between the rear 2 cylinders. Anyway, make a long story short, I've got everything broken. That's broken. My Polaris Ranger's broken. I couldn't even count all the other things that are broken. There's maintenance things on the barns and the buildings and things that's got to be tended to. And I have been working on the rental retreat up there. I've just about got the building finished on the back. My wife, I think, thinks it's funny to ride back and forth in front of this window right when I'm doing filming. It seems like it never fails. So I've been working on that little building that I added onto the back to help insulate those pipes. And I've got most of that done, but I still have to do all the detail. And the devil is in the detail. I still have to put the door in. I still have to hang all the siding. I did the shingling yesterday. So I'm getting caught up on that. By the way, the rental retreat is completely available for rental. All of the problems with the water have been fixed, new carpeting, everything's been freshly fixed, painted, whatever needed to be done. And my wife did most of that, so thank goodness that she did that. And but the rental retreat looks beautiful. By the way, I also completely tore off the front deck and the ramp, and it's now got a new deck with stairs and everything and rails, and I'll be showing some videos of all of that down the road, but I didn't actually take video of me doing the work because I just needed to get the work done. Anyway, you'll see some videos on all that stuff down the road too. So that's the status of that. That's why I'm so tied up. I can't seem to find time to work on instruments. Though, even with saying all that, I have actually started the next guitar. I told you I had committed to build one more, and it's basically a surprise guitar. I'll get it done, even with all the issues I have, but I'll get it done. And I've gotten a decent start on it. I've got the neck pretty well underway. I've got the sides and back woods sawn out. I have the top made with the inlay done on the top, but I don't have any braces yet. So that'll all be coming down the road too. You'll be seeing videos on that. I just want to mention t-shirts again. It's simple, but it's complicated. That's the theme of my life. Seriously, I'm telling you, everything is simple, but it's really complicated. I think that's kind of everything I wanted to talk to you about, but my point is about telling you about the rental retreat is that it is available for rent now. So if you guys want to come out and spend a few days or whatever, feel free to do that. And if you come, at the end of May or early June or whatever, then you could possibly stay here and then go rent a canoe from Melissa at her place, which is literally 15-20 minutes from here. So it's not far at all. Now, the next thing, one of the Rosa Stringworks mandolins has hit the big time and in a big way. A viewer friend, Randy Christian, sent me a link to a video showing a fellow playing a Rosa mandolin. I was unaware that this had happened. And the fellow's name that is playing the mandolin is Stephen Burwell. He was the fiddle player for Doyle Austin for quite a while. Joe Dean was the banjo player for Doyle Austin for quite a while. Joe Dean had one of my mandolins. My guess is, and this is just speculation on my part, that Joe sold the mandolin to Stephen Burwell. And Stephen was playing the mandolin with a group called Fortune, Walker, Rogers, and Isaacs. It's 4 guys that have come together to make a couple of records, a couple of albums, I guess you'd say. And man, it is super good music. You need to watch some of those clips. Not all of them are playing the mandolin. It does show the mandolin close up on a few songs. I will put links in the description to let you click on the songs that the mandolin is featured in. But I would also encourage you to watch that group. They have some awesome songs out there. I mean, really done well. And listen to the musicianship and listen to the singing. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find any better music anywhere than what you'll hear with this particular group. It doesn't hurt that they're playing a Rosa mandolin too. So that is just so awesome. And I thank you, Randy, for putting me onto that. It took me a while to figure out who the fellow was that was playing the mandolin, because I thought, boy, he looks familiar, but I can't place him. And sure enough, it was Stephen Burwell, who was the fiddle player with Doyle Austin. I don't know if he's still with Doyle or not. I didn't check into all of that. I'm sure some of you will put that in the comments. But seriously, it is some really good music. Be sure to check it out. I'll put the links in the description. One of my favorite things to do this time of the year is to hunt for morel mushrooms. Now, having just told you how busy I am, I haven't spent nearly as much time out hunting this year. And up until yesterday, I had only found, I think, 18 mushrooms, something like that. There were few and far between this year. I think that late, really cold snap, right after we had some really warm weather, and then we had that crazy cold snap where it was like 10 below. I mean, it was just nuts. Anyway, it was really cold, and I think that put a kibosh on a lot of the mushroom thing. But anyway, we're starting to find them, and yesterday I hit the mother lode. Take a look at this. Finally, my friends, I've hit the mother lode. They're hard to see. There's one there. There's one there. There's about 3 right there. There's a big one right there. There's a big one right over there. Another big one here. I can't even tell how many there are, but there's a bunch. There's one way over there behind that root. Actually, it's a vine. This is the mother load, and these are all giant ones. This is awesome. I almost never have this happen. I have checked this tree for years. It's a big elm tree. Elm trees are the place to look. I'm telling you for sure. Oh my gosh. I'll pick all these and show you how many there are. There are gazillions. And gazillions is any more than 3 or 4. But there's a bunch. Oh my gosh. And they're huge. They're just bigger than normal. This is awesome. Yeah, can you tell I'm excited? Oh my gosh. I've never had it like this before. And speaking of the mother lode and mushrooms and all of that stuff, I've got a few little video clips that I made earlier in preparation for this shop talk, and I'm going to try to debunk some myths and wives' tales that are out there, and trust me, there's a bunch of them when it comes to mushrooms. Well, my friends, I have a controversial topic to talk about here in the shop talk today. It's about mushroom hunting, and I've wore the appropriate shirt for that. As you can see, it's okay if you disagree with my opinion on this. I can't force you to be right. And that is, there are a lot of wives' tales that have gone with the mushrooms over the years. Morel's obviously being the main one. And that is, here's some of those wives' tales. Always carry your mushrooms in a open bag so that the spores can drop out and reseed themselves. That's number one. Number two is take your water that you wash them in, pour it back out where you find them, and they'll grow better. You'll get more mushrooms. That's number two. Number three that you hear all the time is be sure that you take a knife and cut them off so that you don't disturb the ground there, and they'll grow back better. Okay, all three of those, I'm here to tell you, are absolute bogus baloney. I'm telling you, I've done all three of those things my whole life. I've been hunting mushrooms as long as anybody my age. I've found as many mushrooms as anybody my age. And I'm telling you, for black and white certainty, absolute guarantee you 100%, none of those things work. You can carry them in your open bag if you want. You can pour your water out there if you want, and you can take your knife and cut them off perfectly, and none of it will increase your morels. Stop and think about it from the common sense perspective. If any of those three things worked, you would see morels for sale in the grocery store. You will never see them for sale in the grocery store because not one single person on this whole big earth that we live on has figured out how to grow morels. All those spores they sell on eBay for morels is all bogus. It might grow a mushroom, but it won't grow a morel. Just read the shirt. In fact, I will tell you one more thing about the mushroom thing. I have basically studied it without keeping records my whole life. And every year when you find a new patch, a patch that you've never found before, and you find a lot of mushrooms in that area and you start picking them, and no matter if you follow all those rules or you don't follow those rules, and I followed those rules for years and years and years, every single year after, there will be fewer mushrooms in that spot until there are none in that spot. And I have got dozens and dozens of spots like that to prove that I'm saying the right thing. And I have poured the water back, and I have, I've even cut up pieces of mushroom. I've even left little tiny seed mushrooms there and left them grow, not pick them at all for next year, that type of thing. your spot will always deplenish over years. And eventually that spot will quit producing. I don't care. You might pull mushrooms out of there for a dozen years in a row, and eventually it will dry up. That spot will dry up. I'm flat telling you, none of those ideas work at all. They're all bogus. My friends, the California guitar did come back. Someone asked what it came back for. The setup went low on it for some reason. Ordinarily, setups go high. They typically don't go lower. This one went lower for some reason, and I can't honestly tell you why. I've looked it over, can't figure it out. I don't get it. But anyway, it definitely did go low. It wasn't the customers just thinking it went low. It went low. So I've raised the saddle up on it. I've been watching it for over a week now, trying to make sure that it's stable. It seems perfectly fine to me. I don't see a problem with it. I told the customer I'd be more than happy to give him his money back. He said, I have not asked for a refund, and I'm not going to. Well, anyway, I love this guitar. It's got a great sound. I'm going to do you a tune that was written by two of the greatest singer-songwriters in the history of the free world. At least that's from my perspective. If you're a rock and roller, you may not think so much of this. But, Hank Williams Sr., he just made a splash for about 7 years there that still is hotter than a pistol. People still sing his songs every single day. You may not even know you're singing one of his songs. He wrote a lot of songs and made a big splash in a really short amount of time. Another hero of mine is the biggest name that ever was or will be in bluegrass music, and that's Mr. Bill Monroe. He wrote a lot of songs, and he's the only person that I know of that's in the 3 Hall of Fames. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, believe it or not. He's in the Country Hall of Fame, and he's in the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, of course. So they teamed up together and wrote this song. Now, can you believe that Bill Monroe and Hank Williams wrote a song together? Well, here it is. I just learned this morning, so don't expect too much, but it is a cool song. I hope you like my version. By the way, I'm going to sing the original lyrics. Everyone these days sings, I'm going to pack my suitcase and go, but the original lyrics was, I'm going to pack my clothes and go. So I'm going to try to sing it like that if I can. The lonesome sigh of a train going by makes me want to stop and cry. I recall took you away. I'm blue, I'm lonesome too. When I hear that whistle blow, I wanna pack up my clothes and go. The lonesome sigh of a train going by makes me wanna stop and cry. In the still of the night, in the pale moonlight, the wind did moan and cry. These lonesome blues I just can't lose. I'm blue, I'm lonesome too. Hear that whistle blow, I wanna pack up my clothes and go. The lonesome sigh of a train going by makes me wanna stop and cry. Oh, I'm blue, I'm lonesome too. I'm Lonesome by the great Hank Williams and Bill Monroe. Based on the response from my last shop talk, a number of folks said they would be very interested in seeing some other types of videos like the metal detecting and the artifacts and things like that. We have found a number of hematite objects back there in the artifact field where the Native Americans lived for thousands of years. And this one is an example. This is hematite, very heavy. It's iron ore, basically. I feel like this was a tool they used. And if you just look how it fits your hand, it's just like it was meant to be there. I mean, like, there's a place to kind of rest your thumb right there. It bends right around your ball of your thumb and your, it just fits. And so what would they have used it for? Well, perhaps chipping other arrowheads or, rocks, or maybe just breaking walnuts. Who knows? But I mean, it's like a little hammer, and it's very heavy. This is way heavier than a rock of the same size. So I found that in the site there. Now, this is not a normal rock you would find on my farm. So they carried that in there, obviously. They used it for something. And my guess, like I said, was maybe as a hammer. Here's one of the major artifacts that my wife found. This is a, axe head, and this would be a hand axe. This was before they started putting them on handles, or at least we believe it is. This is probably around 8,000 years old. And unfortunately, the plow chipped it right there. Otherwise, I believe it would have been perfect. It's a beautiful specimen, and again, very, very heavy hematite. I've also done the scratch test on hematite. It turns blood red if you scratch it across a piece of rough porcelain, like the bottom of a coffee mug or something like that. Yeah, it definitely scratches red. It's amazing. Even me being colorblind, if I get the scratch in the bright light, I can tell it's red. I mean, it's that red. So it must be really red if you're not colorblind. And so this was the first one my wife found, and there's a really funny story with this. I've told the story before, so I hate to bore anybody with it, but I think you'll get a kick out of this story, and I'll tell you that right now. If you don't want to listen to it, you can always fast forward. We were back looking for wild grapes, actually, in the fall, and it had just rained, and we found wild grapes and stuff, but they were really high, couldn't get to them, and different things like that, different problems. Well, we were coming by the artifact field, and I said to my wife, I said, hey, it just rained. Let's look for artifacts, because I had the field plowed up for food plots and stuff, like I always do. And I said, we'll probably find stuff. Oh, I don't want to. My wife really has no interest in this at all. I don't want to. I said, well, come on, just take a second and look. No, I don't want to. So, I said, well, let's just look anyway. I mean, what the heck? I kind of forced it on her. So I stopped the four-wheeler. I get out and I start walking across the field. She's just kind of standing there at the four-wheel, kind of a little bit huffy like this, just kind of waiting for me, So the pressure's on, so I'm trying to find something in a hurry. And, I say to her, I'm not kidding you, this is exactly how it went down. It's crazy how it went down. I said to her, as many artifacts as I found in this field. I said, I found hundreds and hundreds of arrowheads. I can't believe I haven't found a tomahawk or a hatchet head or something like that. And I swear to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not making this up at all. This is not dramatic. She's kind of mad, and she just kind of bends down. She's just looking at me. She doesn't look at the ground at all. She just reaches down like this, and she just grabs this thing, and she holds it out like this. She goes, here's one right here. Let's just go. She pretending like it was an axe head. I swear to you, as God is my witness, my hand on the Bible, this is what she had in her hand. I'm not kidding. She didn't even know it herself. And then she looks at it like this, and she goes, her eyes got this big around. I'm not kidding you. I knew she wasn't faking it. Well, the first thing I said to her was, I'll throw it down. I'm not going to fall for that. And she looks at it, and then I look at her face, and her eyes are this big around, and I'm going, whoa, she must have really found one. So I walk over to her, and this is what she had in her hand. No kidding. I mean, that's exactly how it went down. Now, what's really funny about that is I've spent hours, and I'm not just talking a dozen hours, I'm talking hundreds of hours walking that field looking for artifacts. Hundreds of hours. I've done it, like I'll plow it 3 or 4 days in a row and go out there and search the whole field row by row. This was 10, 15 years ago. I haven't done any of that lately. But, I would search it every single day. After a rain, I would search it. I searched it all the time. Found hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces. Never found one of these. Not one single time. I never found one. Okay, so that's story enough. Now, I did find this one. I found this one day, and I didn't know what it was when I found this. This was the first thing I actually found. And when I found this little thing that I'm calling a hammer, I had no idea what they might have used it for at the time because I didn't know what it was. I actually thought it was a meteor. If you look at it, there's some rounded parts there. It's kind of almost looks like it's been burned or something or glazed or something, it kind of looks like it went through the atmosphere, hot. So I thought maybe it was a meteor. Well, I took it up to the college, and the instructor there instantly, geology fellow, said, no, that's hematite. He instantly called it as hematite, and he did the scratch test and showed me. Well, anyway, make a long story short, that's the first thing we found. So then she found this. Now, here's the best part of the story. I swear to you this is true. A month later, we're back there kind of doing something, and I don't remember what, and I said to her, hey, let's look again. Maybe we'll find something. I don't want to. I never find anything, she says. I said, you found a tomahawk the last time. I said, that's worth thousands of dollars. I said, you can't say you don't find anything. She goes, I don't want to. So I get off the four-wheeler again, almost the exact same scenario. I'm walking out through there looking for stuff, and she doesn't even put her head down to look at the ground. I'm not kidding. She just starts walking across the field, just kind of looking out in the distance, and she walks about 20 yards, I'm not kidding, about 20 yards from the four-wheeler, and she bends over, she picks up another, goes, here's another one. I'm going, what? And this is what she had in her hand. Let me show you. I'm unwrapping it out of the package here. I keep them wrapped up. And this is what she had in her hand. Another one. Now, this one was broken pretty badly, but so these are the only 2 artifacts she's ever found in her whole life. Can you believe that? I mean, that's just that alone is just amazing that the only 2 artifacts you ever find in your whole life are 2 tomahawk hatchet heads. She's never found one since. I need to take her back there again. Okay, so now I think that's an amazing story. I hope you like that story because it's 100% true. There's nothing exaggerated on that story at all. Well, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed the Shop Talk so far. I'm going to close the Shop Talk with this tip. Actually, it's a couple of tips, and these might be kind of weak in one respect, but on the other hand, if something is very helpful, I think this could be a big payoff for some people. Okay, the first one is very simple. Get you some of these kinds of clamps. These are cool clamps. These come from Harbor Freight. They're cheap, inexpensive, meaning that they're well made actually, but they're inexpensive. The cool thing about these clamps is that you got this push button. You can lift it right up, bingo, and then it starts instantly tightening. So you can move it to whatever size you need it to go to, and then you let go, and then you can start tightening. Time saver like crazy. And they make them in a lot of different sizes. This one here is the 4-inch. These 4 inches are very, very handy, and they make bigger ones. I don't think they make them any smaller. I wish they made them in a 3-inch also. It would be really awesome. But seriously, this is I'm not kidding you, this is a very, very good clamp. It really is, and for the money, you can't go wrong with these babies. I really like these a lot. Okay, what's the next tip? Okay, it's kind of similar in a way. It's just a different way to do something. You know, everybody's familiar with the X-Acto blades, and this big handle, I don't use the big handle all that much, or at least I haven't been using it. I prefer the skinny handle and the skinny blades. But I've run across something that works pretty well, and you do need to use the bigger handle. So what I do is I take this bigger handle from the X-Acto knife. Chuck, the retired doctor, sent me a lot of different scalpel tools and scalpel blades, and this in fact is 100 scalpel blades, and this is the number 25. And if you look here, I'll give you a close-up there so that you can see it, and I'll hold it there for a few seconds so that you'll have time to read it. These blades, when you peel them out of the package, they fit this handle. I actually take my plastic jaw pliers and tighten it in there because it doesn't fit quite like an X-Acto blade. They're a little bit thinner. They're more flexible. They don't break as easy, and they're actually sharper. So they're really good blades. You can see that the negative is that it's got these two open things. I don't like the regular scalpel handles because they have this thing that protrudes up through there. And if you can see, if anything protrudes up there, well, then it's close to the edge of your blade, and that causes a problem for all the carving and things that I do. I don't like that. I like putting it in this handle. It's not a perfect fit, but it works. So you put it in there and you tighten it down, and for the most part you can tighten it down by hand, and that's probably good enough. But I just take these plastic jaw pliers and give it a slight extra crank. Then they're really good and tight, very, very sharp. This is kind of like my new go-to cutter now. Yes, and even when it is detailed, I mean, that's got a very small point, and you can get in there and do some detail work with this, especially if you don't want to have to push hard. This cuts so well, and you can get, like I said, 100 of these blades in a box, so you got plenty of blades to go with this. To be perfectly honest, he gave these to me, so I have no idea what this costs. I'm sure you can look it up. It's Havels, Havels, Incorporated, 100 surgical blades, sterile stainless steel, and they're the number 25 size. That tip there is really good. I've been using this a lot lately and really, really enjoying how good that works. Just to say it one more time and maybe say it slightly differently, and that is, the tip on this is actually probably even a little bit more pointy, and it's great, but what's the negative on this tip on the X-Acto is that tip breaks off easy. Boy, I mean, just look at it almost and it'll break the very tip of it right off. This blade is way more flexible. It will bend before it breaks. That's the cool thing about these blades. So there's where the big difference is. That's where I really like this blade. That's going to be the conclusion of the Shop Talk. I hope those tips were worth it for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do that. And please click the like or the thumbs up button. For those of you who are watching on a smart TV, if you press the up arrow, I believe that will take you to a slight little menu, and then you can right arrow over to where you can do a thumbs up. And so you can do it from your smart TV also. It's not quite as easy, I'll admit, but you can do it. So please start helping us out by giving us a thumbs up. We're working really hard on these videos. It takes hours and hours to put them out, and we need that extra little feedback from you. So thank you very kindly. I really appreciate it. You all have a blessed day.